This week I'm having some work done on the house, putting in a patio, and with all this construction equipment, I thought this was actually a really good opportunity to talk about emotional control. Weirdly, because a lot of people think, how do I control anger? How do I control this emotion or that one? And really, your emotions are created in the moment with a completely unique emotional cocktail, unique mixture of dopamine and cortisol and adrenaline. Every emotion you've ever had is a completely unique, in that moment, mixture of those neurochemicals. So you've never had the same emotion twice. So with that, we'll get into what we're actually wanting to talk about, which is how do I make sure that my emotions don't control my actions, which to me is what emotional control means, instead of, well, how do I control the having of emotions, which to me is a less than ideal strategy. And you're sure as all get out not going to control your emotions and make sure that you don't have them. So to me, the most effective question is, how do I stop my emotions from controlling my behaviors? And that is a really useful skill to have. There's a saying that you should never promise when you're happy and you should never decide when you are angry. Those are really great guidelines for moving forward. I've realized that every single time that I have decided or acted out of anger, it has never been a good situation. Now, to me, anger is different from righteous indignation, like a self-defense situation, or you're protecting somebody that you love. That righteous indignation is a great thing to have. The behaving because you're angry always results in a regretful behavior that I wish I could take back. And I've seen so many salespeople flub a presentation or get frustrated because the lead asked a question that the salesperson wished they hadn't or weren't prepared for, and then they say something kind of snippy, and then it breaks that rapport. And then they lose the opportunity, and now they just lost tens of thousands of dollars and who knows how many millions of dollars in lifetime value of that client. So it is one of those things of, it's not just in the moment, it's also the relationships that it costs you long term when you behave out of alignment that you got to watch out for. So if you do want to uncouple the emotions from your choices, there are basically 6 steps that you've got to work through. Now, one important note is that you've had an entire lifetime to get good at the way that you experience emotions and you express them. So understanding this stuff will not be the end of your journey. It will require practice. It will require repetition. It will require in-the-moment skill to recognize that this is an opportunity to practice a different way of being. So with that said, let's dig into these 6 steps. Step number 1 is awareness, and this is actually, to me, the most difficult one, especially when you are new to this kind of thing, because if you're not aware of the emotions you're having, how are you going to change them? How are you going to address it? And when you're in the middle of experiencing a very strong emotion, it's very difficult to become aware of what's going on because you're so busy being super happy or pissed off or frustrated or whatever that emotional engagement is. You're very tangled up in it. And the ability to go meta about it, which is the ability to think about what you're thinking and kind of be aware of what you're experiencing it as you experience it, is the kind of first step. Because again, if you want to affect a process, you have to be aware that it's even a thing in the first place. So as you learn and practice this, you'll get better and better at doing it. And it's even okay if you become aware at the end of the emotional cycle and then kind of go, oh, I was just very frustrated, or I was just very whatever it is that you tend to dial into. So being aware in the moment as early as possible is step number one. And again, the more that you do it, the earlier you'll be aware of the emotional experience that you would like to change. Step number two is acceptance. You have to be honest with yourself about how you're actually feeling in the moment, because the moment that you lie either to others or yourself, you are breaking from the reality of the situation and how you genuinely experience things. So that then breaks you off from being able to control anything. So that's why you at least have to be honest with yourself. You don't even need to admit this out loud to anybody else. But the second thing that you have to do is to admit and accept that this is the reality. This is really what's happening. This is really how I feel, no matter how much I would like to be feeling something else, or how socially unacceptable it is that I'm feeling this way. I have to accept that, no, this is the reality that I'm dealing with, and now I can do something about it. The third step is to listen to the story that the emotion is trying to tell you, because every emotional engagement comes with a story that you're telling yourself. So-and-so snubbed me at the party, and that means that they hate me, or whatever that story is. There's an experience, then your black box of a mind from your previous experiences and beliefs and choices, and all of that forms this matrix of decision making of what experiences mean. I had this experience and therefore it means this, and because of that meaning, I now feel a certain way about it. So your emotions are trying to tell you the story of what your experiences mean, of how well your needs are being met. If they are, then I'm happy. If not, I'm mad and frustrated about it. And there's some story in between those experiences that dictate your emotional reaction to it. So you can use your emotional reactions as clues to discover the stories you're telling yourself about what your experiences mean. And what's cool is once you understand what those stories are, you can retell yourself different stories about what those experiences mean, which open up new ways of feeling about them. And because you feel a different way, you now can behave a different way, which is pretty cool. Number 4 is survive. Realize that you've survived every single emotion you've ever had in your entire life up until this very moment. And that detail really helps you understand that I could make it through this one. And I've been through some really, really awful emotional experiences in my life, and every single one has enabled me to get through the next one, because I always thought, well, if I made it through everything else, I can make it through this, and I'm not the only person throughout history to go through this experience. Maybe the details are unique, but the general idea is, millions of other people have been through what I'm going through, and they've made it through just fine as well. So that gives you the confidence to face future emotional states and to realize that you can make it through those as well. Now, the 5th one is pretty important, and it is practice, because you don't have to wait until you're in the moment to practice navigating how you're going to feel, because there's this cool thing called a mind, which is basically like an emotional dojo. You can imagine a situation where you could be upset, or an experience that you are afraid of, or something that you really don't want to have happen. You can close your eyes and try to picture it as much as possible in as much detail as you possibly can, and that will trigger the same emotions inside as going through the experience in real time. And what that allows you to do is to play through different scenarios about how you feel in that moment, so you can rack up enough reps of navigating that emotional dynamic and how you feel, and it's in a safe place. You're where nothing bad can happen to you. And you can go through that so many times that you start to desensitize yourself to that situation. And that's exactly what I did when I went out for national television, went out for America's Got Talent. I was in front of Howard Stern, Heidi Klum, Mel B, Howie Mandel, 3,000 people in person. And I didn't know how many cameras were on me at any one time. And I had to go out and look like I was having fun. So what did I do? The weeks and months leading up to that taping, I imagined what it would be like stepping out in front of exactly that situation, and it freaked me out at first, and it caused me to break out into a sweat and have shaky hands just thinking about it. And that's why it's so useful. Think about it, go through all of that, and then you desensitize yourself to it because you've navigated that experience 200, 500 times already. Then when you face the real situation, you've already been through it. You've already experienced it. You already know how to deal with these very strong emotions that you're going through. So that's why practice really is the most important detail to help you navigate your way through it. Because like I said at the beginning, you've had a lifetime's worth of experience and practice believing and behaving and experiencing the emotions that you've grown up experiencing. So give yourself a leg up and give yourself a chance to do it right by giving yourself more opportunities to do it correctly in your mind, where it's zero stakes, very simple, and you can do it anytime, anywhere you go. And step number 6 is congratulate yourself, because you've just gone through a very difficult, challenging thing. And again, the more that you practice, the more you're setting yourself up for success. And something this important deserves some positive reinforcement. So take some time to pat yourself on the back and compliment yourself for doing the practice that you need to do in order to change the way that you behave about things. So congratulating yourself really is an important final step to reinforcing the positive changes that you want to make. And then once you've gone through that mental dojo of imagining that situation and then imagining the positive way of behaving in response to your intense emotional reactions, congratulate yourself, positive reinforcement, move towards what you want to move towards and move away from what you don't want to do anymore. And that will get you there twice as fast. So those are the 6 steps to controlling your emotions. Hopefully it was useful. It'll be valuable to you. If so, hit that like button. It helps me understand what I should focus on more. And it also fools YouTube into showing this to more people who might appreciate it. And if you would like to see more stuff like this, more psychology-based insights for life and business, I would suggest that you check out this video or subscribe to the channel for new videos so that you can see them when I post them. That's it. I'm Jonathan Pritchard from iCanReadMinds.com. And as always, remember, if you can change your mind, you can change your life.